is on a fantastic Friday afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. It's the Teddy Bear, and welcome to Traxx Podcast. And today's artist spotlight, gifted singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Lord have mercy, she's bringing a touch of melody medicine. New album, yes, long overdue.
Yes.
The new album, Keep Steady, from one and only Jesse Williams from the Jesse Waves Band, is joining us today. My queen, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. And first and foremost, how are you feeling?
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm feeling much better. I'm out of the woods. Nothing like getting a little under the weather to make you appreciate normalcy. It's good for that. It makes you realize how much you take it for granted.
Absolutely. You know, I've had an opportunity to really thoroughly listen to your music. And not only that, just listening to the way that you're able to converse and get across your music to so many people. You definitely have a very seasoned soul. You've definitely been here before. You've definitely been here before. And I love it. I truly love it because I've always said every artist has the God given right and ability, yes, Lord, to contribute a verse. And you have done that lovely, my love. You have really.
Ooh, make me weepy. Said there so soon.
I wanted to ask you, being so, I guess one of the things that I find so fascinating about you is that not only the level of maturity of the way that you conduct yourself and the way to carry yourself, but your music just oozes such a level of maturity. And I said to myself, for her to be so young, how have you been able to put your life experiences in your music at this young age? Because the level of transparency that you show is incredible, and I find it so refreshing.
Thank you. Oh, um, I think for myself, there's like a level of honesty that I have to even hold to a standard, me to me. And there's a quote, I think Virginia Woolf said it, and it goes, if you can't tell the truth about yourself, you can't tell it about anyone else. And that's the only thing I can, really do justice is my life experiences, and to not cheat myself out of the lessons that I can glean and where my part is in the dynamics that I participate in, and the people that I meet, and the stories that we co-create together. Some that have nothing to do with each other's history, and some that's forged from the beginning of meeting each other. I try to be an honest account of my life, and in that, the more that I approach that with like integrity, I feel the more I recognize that my life themes are not so singular, that they're really just dressed up in a different simulation. We're all going through the same things. It's not so
Right.
we're going through everything. We're a part of the whole, and we're just experiencing it at the same time. So if I can tell the truth right, then no matter what it looks like, it'll translate. And I live to feel that like completeness with
Right.
everybody.
Well, it definitely resonates through your music. And one of the things that I also find so refreshing is that it just seems to me, just from afar, just listening and really paying attention to your song lyrics, how much of your music has become somewhat of a muse to you? Because it seems, because I've noticed certain artists, some are very introverted, some are very extroverted,
Mhm.
and the ones that are introverted have a way of expressing themselves and giving a glimpse to so many people who they are, what their emotional state of mind is at
Mhm.
that particular moment in time.
Yeah, I've had varying seasons. When I was younger, I was almost like kind of casting myself, throwing myself really hard at other people as if it were like waves crashing onto a shore. Like I was almost trying to find out more about myself through the lens of other people, and so in that extroverted nature, I got a lot of stories. I learned pretty quickly some crazy I got the data, if you will, about some
Right.
I had, not just about the world, but about myself, and proved myself wrong on a couple of things, good and bad. And as I've in the process of that, it was only natural for me to get more introverted and lick my wounds after such, impetuous youth, and like, and because of actually taking the time to isolate, and soon that isolation turned into solitude, which is more sacred, and I was able to incubate more. And I feel like that's what you see with a lot of artists, is like you go from kind of bleeding onto people, like in search of connection, and then through that you kind of have to go back to the drawing board, and take inventory of what you've learned, and um, being on the mountaintop has been a very sacred womb in a way. I've locked myself in for a lot of years trying to understand, and the more that I know, the less I understand, as my dad says.
How important is it to really protect your heart, because your music is so emotional,
Mhm.
and in this world of social media that we live in, everyone wants a part of you, especially when they find a particular song or a particular artist that they gravitate to you and they come to you. You know what? This particular song really did something to me emotionally.
Mhm.
It touched me in a way where I'm going through the same thing. How does that make you feel in your live performances when someone comes to you and say, you know what? You have touched me in a way that you really truly understand what I'm going through, what my experiences are at this particular moment in time in my life.
Hmm. I I feel I feel grateful. I feel grateful to almost like, maybe, I guess, to contextualize these impossible feelings. We're all going through a lot of inner battles, um and some of us are lucky to have worked in diligently to find a way to give them a voice, whether it's baking cakes or writing songs or cutting grass or growing gardens or raising children. I feel like there's so many different ways that we try to almost make sense of what we're feeling, and some people have been discouraged from finding a way, or just haven't given themselves permission yet, and I feel like it's a great honor to be able to put a name to all the impossible feelings, and um it always takes me by surprise. Uh, su Honestly, most times, because I spend a lot of times, on the weekends doing the weekend warrior stuff, gigging to winery crowds and brewery crowds, and they're still kind listeners, but they didn't come there. I just happened to be there at the same time they're there, and so to actually get the chance of someone offering that, like, witnessing
Right.
is,
Understood.
yeah, it's really
Understood.
special.
What are you in search of? Because I get the vibe from you. You're definitely a searcher. What is Jesse Williams in search of?
I you've got some great questions. One searcher to another, one seeker.
There you
Um,
go.
I, I guess I am in search of other seekers, and moments like these where for once you don't have the answers. I guess in a strange way, like, I seek lately nothingness, which is a huge feat, because if you can tell behind me, like, I'm very much a maximalist. I'm a big collector. The more the better. If little is good, a lot's gotta be great. So, to actually take a time and to find, like, emptiness or pursue space and try to feel it versus fill it has been a new, I don't know, operating system update for my brain.
Right.
But in general, I feel like I seek alignment with the greater force that animates all of this. I seek just little signs to know, like, I'm not alone and to keep going, and because I feel like, from the time you're born, like, you're immediately lonely. You have this little moment that, you and your mom are one, and then you start to have autonomy, you realize that you're separate beings, and from that moment, you're like an island, and um, I through music, through food, through people, through my tribe, I think I'm always seeking for that, assuredness that it's all interwoven inextricably, and just for
You,
the constant reminder.
you know what? Just listening to you, and I know, and when you mention something almost like being in a void, that sense of loneliness, but I've always said when you have an opportunity to maintain a certain level of balance in your
Mhm.
life, where you come out of that void, you come out renewed, so to speak. You have better clarity of who you are, and what you choose to do. For you being such an emotional being, as you say, Lord have mercy, and and being and understanding yourself, what would you say would be the biggest misconception that people have of Jesse Williams?
Mm, that I don't the first off the top of my head is that, just because I'm not responding doesn't mean that you're absent from my mind. I struggle to strike the balance between maintaining online relationships, because that is what this is. I'm creating art and I'm asking the world to, sit at my table, and it's important to reciprocate, and I'm through constantly riding the waves of, this world, that world, and then also trying to create without an agenda too, just to be a kid in the sandbox and spend time with family. I get really behind on returning, the effort and the energy that people generously show me, and I'm way better than I used to be, and thank God for it because it gnaws at me. But I would say, like, and I actually don't really know what people think about me. Um, and, like, I try not to. I'm too consumed with what I think about me, unfortunately. But, I would hope that, I'll keep showing up better and finding, because you can go fast alone, but you can go far together, and like to do
Abs-
better.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The thing is, I said, you know what? She keeps providing us with little niblets and nuggets of peach cobbler with certain little of videos. I said, and leaving the listeners wanting more and more. I want to talk about not only the album, but I want to talk about the importance of family.
Mm.
What has it meant to you to have that level of consistency, that love, more importantly, the support of family in this journey through music?
I don't know who I would be without it. Um, I mean, I feel like it is in my DNA. My father plays, his father, my papa Michael played, and, even generations before that, the oak tree sleeps in the acorn, and especially with this nut here, I I don't know where I would be. I don't even know who I would be, how long it would have taken me to find myself. I'm so grateful that, and it's not just my dad. I'm quick to really praise him and his contributions, but my mom drove me to so many open mics when I was dragging my heels, and she would go get the check for me because I didn't wanna go get my money. Like, can you imagine, like, how privileged you are that, it's a drag to go get your money? Um, she did so much for me, and I didn't realize how much she was, because I mean, I was middle school, high school, just a, tunnel vision kid, and, I didn't realize until I started taking it all on myself just how much she was, like, believing in me on, and you never clock out. Like, this is my baby for me, but imagine seeing your baby, like, with their I don't know, their baby, their life, their legacy, their seedling, their future that you can see that they can't, and, um, the support, even, like, my aunt, she's helped me so much with the media, like, shooting videos, music videos, like, it's all a grassroots effort, and my family is full of so many strong-willed people, um, I mean, 10 feet tall spirits, and it has everything to do with who I am and being able to be rooted and focus in a deeply spiritual way. I'm so safe in that I don't have to, like, that's not on the docket. It's focus, it's knowing,
Right.
and that's everything. That
When
has
you
a lot.
pick up that guitar, you know, the interesting part that I find so intriguing is that it's one thing to play a guitar, it's another to become one with it, and you definitely do that. I mean, you have definitely become one
Mhm.
as with that instrument, but the acoustic, you on an acoustic guitar is something very special to me. I've always thought when you're playing an acoustic guitar, it's more intimate. It's really
Yes.
it's very intimate to you. And I wanted to ask you, when
Mhm,
you do perform live,
mhm.
you use and expose excuse me, you expose so much of yourself, so much energy. Because I mean, when I've watched the videos that were given to me, and it's like you're on a completely different universe. It's like you're a completely different universe. After a performance, how long does it take you to come down from that kind of natural organic high?
Mm. It depends. It's so varied. Some days I write it for, the whole week, and it leaves waves for the month, especially, like, depending on, the way that the crowd ate it up, or, who I got to share the gig with, who supported me, in the band, and even solo shows I experience, great ascension. And then other days, you can experience such a high that's, like, so sweet that when you come down, it's almost, like, devastating to
Hmm.
real life, that and to feel, that you can't s to have this, like, fake belief, really, that you can't stay suspended in that space, or that you're returning to a space that isn't as sacred, but you wouldn't know that high without the baseline. It takes all of it, and, some days I think I'm greedy and I try too hard to savor it, or I assign a certain amount of worth, like, did the show seem successful? And I almost, like, I humanize it too much. I start trying to, like, compare and look at the logistics, and I have to really get out of the way. And the more I get out of the way, the longer it lasts. And it's just, a natural thing. It's vibration. I let it be that, and I let it continue, versus, like, stopping it and trying to analyze,
How
as you do
challenging?
when you seek.
Well, how challenging is it for you to be your own worst critic? Because just conversing with you in this very short time, I can tell, number one, you're a perfectionist. You strive, yeah, you strive for perfection.
Mhm.
And as they said, something as far as perfection is something that we will never achieve. So,
Oh.
how do you, so being your own worst critic, how are you able to kind of maintain your level, I would say, sanity, or be a level of openness to say, you know what, that did come out the way I wanted to do.
Both of those are very true. I've gotten I've gotten better. It used to be crippling. I could not I would be so obsessed with the errors that I would miss the fact that 92% was inspired excellence. Um, I get so I get so caught up in that. I really do miss the forest for the trees. You can sit there and obsess over the fact that you didn't nail that one part right, while completely missing the fact that you like coasted on a knowing and a confidence where you could lean back into your experience and then let something more true, like your spirit, your soul, kind of handle the vessel. And I've learned to number one, document shows like live streams. It's a great way to connect online, but it's also for me too, because I can go back and listen, and because I definitely have dysphoria about how I think things go. And when I listen back, it's the proof. I mean, I'm constantly searching for the proof, and that helps. That goes a long way. And then also, I've kind of had to make amends with the fact that perfection leads to a lot of rejection. And if you are trying to achieve perfection, you can somewhat be there, but you're compromising organic, true expression. Perfection can be somewhat achieved if you stick to a script. That means never veering away. And if there's one thing that, as you do when you're seeking, you're leaving no stone left unturned. And that translates to every facet of life. I'm doing that on stage. I'm doing it whether someone's looking or not. I'm doing it, like I mean, listening to other people's music, even like going down the road and looking at the road trying to stay alive and then seeing a bird fly by. Like those, it's like you have to be kind of present for all of it instead of looking for this one thing to register as greatness. And honestly, like getting more into the longer I do this and having more proof behind me, and also, as much as I can't clock out because I love it so much, I do have to in some ways still enforce that and be like, you're done picking at it, you're done
Right.
thinking about it. I get that you care, but at this point, like, this changes nothing. And I even will lay in bed as the thoughts run and relive and marinate on whatever I thought wasn't good enough. And I think about the fact that if it weren't me and I watched somebody else do that, I would be way more generous.
Well, one thing I have learned about being a seeker,
Mhm.
that our mind is constantly moving. We're always thinking
Yes.
ahead, always thinking ahead. How important was it to put this album together from an organic, point of view from you?
Mm. Well, I knew. So I had saved for close to 2 years to get the funds to go in because I knew I wanted to do a full length record because I still believe in records.
Yes.
I love when someone drops something and you have something to explore, and it's you haven't, been privy to their years of fleshing out and working out the tunes. So I knew for at least 3 years that I was going to do that, and then I saved for 2 years. And then last year was really a lot of the pieces started to come together because I played solo for so long. After 2019, I played solo until, yeah, last year. I mean, with the exception of my family, like, coming in and backing me for occasional opportunities that, I had to make happen, I was cutting my teeth solo for a long time, which was great because I needed to. You can hide in a band, and you and so I got to be under the microscope, and really, really work things out and carve and refine and earn my own respect. And which led me to last year. Finally, I felt like even that energetic change between my relationship with myself and my inner child, my inner artist, it started to open up the doors to community, because I think you can want something so bad you can even repel it. And I wanted so bad to share what I was doing with people as if it would make what I was doing better, instead of knowing that I was whole and complete on my own, and that it would only multiply having aligned people join in the sacred sound. And that started to happen last year. And as I started connecting with people that it was actually the right fit and it just felt good and there was no forcing it, then I was able to pick their brains about studios. And because that was another thing, I didn't even know where to start, because I'm up here in North Georgia, and a lot of the people that I'm working with now, they're in Atlanta. And so they have the time, like they have laid down the networks and know. And I also get decision fatigue. Like when I have so many options, like, I'm so afraid to say no to the wrong one. And so being able to narrow down and almost kind of vet these places based off of who was recommending them, it started to make it all materialize and become more real to me and more possible. And then as I was like hustling and grinding to get that money together, I gathered the people that I knew would be a part of my tribe to make this record be a community record. Because that's one of the biggest things after so many years of isolation. Like, I want to be a part of a community. I want to be contributing. I want to be able to rely and fall back into this community. And so it like take those people I met into the studio, which I recorded at Samson Sound in Atlanta with Christopher Sampson. And I love him to death. It just is so aligned. We actually it was also another a great challenge going into that. And that was a green flag for me, that it was just so hard. I needed it. I have learned the majority of my lessons the hard way. And but it sticks. It sticks that way. And I really honor the nature of change, and how it's a force, but it's loving. And so to be in all this crazy in and out world, to finally take those songs and create them in an honest way with very little touching of the music, and part to do with the incredible musicians, where we could go in and cut them live, some of the songs in just one take or two takes, and be able to go back on the first one, because that's where it was also raw, and you weren't overthinking it. And yeah, it took a long time to get here, very long time.
Well, you know what? Listening to this album, it brings such a level of sanctuary, peace,
Mm.
resiliency.
Oh.
And I love that. I'm truly, thoroughly impressed by you. And I've had the pleasure to speak and converse with so many wonderful artists for over the last almost 17 years. And you thoroughly impressed me, because you definitely have a clear understanding of what it means to be an artist.
Mm.
Not looking for the quick fix, but bringing something with substance, which is sorely missed in today's music. And what are some of the challenges of being an independent artist? Question one.
Mhm.
Secondly, if a major label came knocking on your door within the next 48 hours, what would it take for Jesse Williams to sign with a major label? What are
Mm.
some of the things you will do, and what are some of the things you refuse to do?
I'm gonna work backwards with your question.
All right.
So I I would really have to sit down with who this person is, preferably in person, but definitely a phone call if I couldn't do that. Because that goes a long way. There's the truth just sounds different. And
Right.
I would want my music, my baby, in the hands of somebody I would break bread with. So, I would really have to see honestly, I'd prefer a grassroots label, regular people just like me who have just stayed steady at it and not caved into the shortcuts, as you were mentioning,
Yeah.
and that I could see the salt of like their metrics, like what are their parameters, what do they believe in, what's their foundational values, because I know that if they're applying that to their business, that's absolutely going to cross over into what I'm doing. And I want to work together. I don't want to be butting heads, working against each other. And I definitely, I'd like to think that I'm a flexible creative, because again, I don't like to leave any stone left unturned. And I have my preferences with things, but I am also very curious and I don't know it all. And I enjoy the data. So I feel like I would be willing to try things with it, like based off of no, it wouldn't be just because it wasn't my idea that I would say no. I had found that out in the studio. Like I was very willing to try things, but I also knew when it didn't resonate. And I feel like I don't even know like what I could be propositioned with, that I would say no to as of yet, just because I have no idea what even being a label in today's landscape musically looks like at this point.
Yeah.
Because
Things
we're
have,
doing it so much, a lot of it ourselves.
yeah, things have changed dramatically. I remember there was a time where you had to actually physically get up and go to a studio and get a budget from the label, and you had to they had to recoup that money back. And now you have a lot of artists, which I love independent artists for the simple fact is because you have complete creative control, as
Yeah,
you say, of
yeah.
your baby, of your baby. Hold on. I have to repeat that again. You have complete creative control of
Mhm.
your music. It's your music, and owning your masters
Yes,
is owning your
exactly.
master.
Oh my gosh, that's all. There's so much to it. I mean, I just can't imagine. It really is an amazing time for as much as you can moan about the weight of the